Hola, hola. Buenos días. Good afternoon, everyone. Et on peut parler en français aussi. Bon après-midi. Bonjour. Hola, hola. To the people who are starting to join live, welcome. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I've got this ring light thing going on in my glasses. I think I'm just going to take them off. I am Zine. I'm a seduction coach and a Tantra guide. And today I'm going to offer up a meditation as we are a part of a series this month, all throughout May, around awakening your inner God, goddess, or deity in the bedroom. And we started off in the first week with the suggestion of starting to do an intentional self-pleasure practice to really help awaken this inner God, goddess, or deity within. The second week, I offered up a few tantric rituals that you could practice right away, and both of those are on IGTV. Oof. We're gonna take that one. Sorry. Sometimes you need to block people who come on. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the second one, I was able to offer you tantric rituals to help you further embody your inner God, goddess, deity in the bedroom. Both of those are on IGTV. You can go watch them. They're still available. The third week, which was last week, I offered up sensual dance. Now, that one got cut off midway because I was a bad girl and I was playing music and Instagram did not like that. So I don't have that available, but I was able to download it from the archives and I will be making it available as an opt-in very soon. So you will have access to the sensual dance one, which was really, really cool. It was one of my favorite ones. There's a lot of great teachings in it, especially for women or for anyone who wants to embody their goddess within through sensual dance. And I'll let you know when that comes through. I usually speak about these kinds of things in my stories, so be sure to watch that because that's where I put all of my good shit. Now this week, every month, with everything that I have, there reaches a point where we talk about the challenges. So I love to talk about opening ourselves up to more pleasure, more fun, more sexiness, all of that kind of thing. But it's very normal, of course, when we're doing that, to hit a ceiling, to hit a challenge, to hit resistance, to hit a block, right? And so with every theme, today is the day, we address those challenges. And so I will be sharing with you today one of the ways that we can encounter challenges when starting to embody or awaken our inner God, goddess, or deity in the bedroom. So it's maybe less sexy, but it's absolutely necessary and it's a part of the process to reach liberation in our body, around our sexuality, around our pleasure, around just general freedom, that sense of freedom inside, right? So come with me, won't you? Come with me. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and you can answer them for yourself, or if you are courageous, you can answer them in the comments here live, or you can answer them in the comments for the IGTV if you like. Hello, everyone who's joining. I appreciate your presence. I would love to see more of you live, so I really love when you come and join. Thank you, thank you. So the two questions are, can you experience the God, goddess, or deity in your partner if you're in a long-term relationship? Are you able to experience that? Are you able to really see that? The God, goddess, or deity within them. And the other question is, how about in dating? What if you're just in a one-time hookup and you know you're probably not going to see this person again? You've decided already, like this is not going to continue. Can you still see and experience the God, goddess, or deity within them? That can be hard, right? So it's perfectly normal to answer no to either of those questions for different reasons, right? In long-term relationships, of course, over the years, over the months, however long, You can encounter resentments and all these kinds of things that are preventing you from really seeing the beauty, the God, goddess, deity aspects of your partner, right? There's a lot of inhibitions. There's pieces that have started to collect that make it much harder to see and experience. In dating, there can be many reasons why. There can be fear of intimacy. There can be fear of opening your heart. There can be fear of connecting too deeply. There can be just because you want something very temporary and you just don't want anything beyond that. So there's like a wall that goes up, right? You're creating that wall, which also prevents connection on a level and your ability to really see them in their full truth, in their full God, goddess, deity, and all of their power and whatever they have to offer, right? So it's not terrible to say no. It's actually a really amazing opportunity to start understanding and becoming aware of where some of our challenges or blocks, our ceilings exist to more pleasure, more fun, more expansiveness in the bedroom, even for our own confidence. So when I talk about embodying or awakening our inner God, goddess, deity in the bedroom, what are we actually talking about? Depending on what you chose as a goddess or a god or a deity, it can be increased confidence. It can be increased expression. It can be increased freedom. It can be all kinds of different things, increased sense of power in your sexuality. And so becoming aware of where those ceilings come into play, where those blocks start to come into play, can help you start to work with them so that you liberate yourself from those ceilings and so that you directly have access to that liberation, to that expansiveness, to that freedom internally, which then of course also plays into how your partners will experience you. Yeah, so the more we can feel that inside, the more it opens the ceiling for the partner or partners that we're with. Yeah, so it adds connection, it adds depth, it adds play, whatever that's going to be. The more we can feel and experience within ourselves, the more we call that into play in our experiences. Bien. So I know sometimes, especially when we're in a partnered situation, we can feel like it's the other person's fault, right? Oh, it's them. I'm not seeing the God, goddess, deity in them because they're just not acting in that way or whatever. So I'm going to give you just an example here of how we can own our part in these things, right? We definitely have a part to play in how we see the other person, whether it's a hookup for one time, whether it's a long-term partnership. We can do the work of our own side to help encourage this and to help actually call this in more in our partner or whoever dating situation might be. So I was once at a festival when I used to live in France, and it was a very like outdoorsy, earthy type festival for, I think we camped. So it was 2 days, and I was with a friend who I remember was quite closed, right? So when we got there, she was complaining. It was like everything was annoying, nothing was working. And then she went into this Tantra workshop, and when she came out, her eyes were like shining. And she was looking at everyone and saying, why everyone is so beautiful here. Everyone is just so gorgeous and so amazing. And I think you see what I'm getting at here. Essentially, it had nothing to do with the people. It's not like all of a sudden everyone transformed into their God, goddess, deity, right? She was able to liberate herself internally from some of the blocks that she had when she came in. So through that tantric experience, whatever workshop that was, she was able to let down some of the walls, right? These walls, these blocks, these resistances that allowed her to witness and experience the people around her as their best selves, as their highest selves. And it's from that place that we want to operate as much as possible. You can't do this all the time, understandably. We all go there because this is from our empowered place, right? It's from the place within us that when we take action or make decisions, is not based out of fear, out of what if, out of blah, 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 blah. It's out of, okay, I see this person fully for who they are, and now I get to decide based on my desires. So what happens when we discover that we have these blocks, that we have these resistances internally? What the hell do we do with that? So I'm going to give you a meditation today to help you become more aware of one of the places where you may encounter blocks in this experimentation of awakening to your inner God, goddess, deity. But what happens if you do discover that you have these blocks, these resistances? Well, in coaching, or just in general, I highly recommend a 3-step process. The first one is to become aware of it, right? Awareness is one of the most powerful ways to start the process of transformation. So becoming aware that, oh shit, yep, I definitely have that resistance. I definitely have that block. That awareness, that self-awareness is super powerful, number one. Number two, the acceptance around this awareness. And this is the part that we can sometimes start to get funky with, and that coaching really helps acknowledge and helps you move through. Because we can have awareness around this issue that we're having, but if we have an internal battle, which looks like, I hate that I have that about myself, I should be better than that by now, I should be more mature, I should be more, I should be less, I should. These are the internal battles that take place. We're not in acceptance. Yeah, we're not accepting that this is us, that this is a part of us, and we are trying to be something else that is not currently there. So these blocks, these resistances, these patterns that come in, came into play at a certain point in our life, often in childhood. It could be from our culture, from the relationships that we learned through our caregivers, through our old relationships, all that kind of thing. They came into play at a certain point to protect us from something. And it was perfectly valid at the time. But often they'll keep playing over and over and over again. These protective mechanisms are still playing over and over and over again, even when we don't need them anymore, which is where these internal battles start to take place, where I am like this, I've got this resistance, but I don't want to have it because I don't need it anymore. Therefore, I keep trying to avoid it or pretend I don't have it, or just be like, fuck, I hate when this happens, right? So the step 2 is to come to a place of acceptance that this is where you are, that this is the resistance that you have right now, and that instead of trying to suppress it or ignore it or avoid it, it's like, let's get sexy with it. We'll have it as our seductive friend next to us. And the third point is to start to work with that trigger. Start to work with that point of resistance. So whatever the situation is, I'm aware, okay, shit, I'm in this position right now. That thing that I do, that resistance that I have is coming up. That's the acceptance. It's like, okay, it's here. I'm not going to deny it. I'm going to just acknowledge that it's there. And I'm going to work with it essentially within the scenario. So some people like to put themselves in the triggers to grow beyond it. Yeah, so to go in a situation over and over and over again where that trigger would arise so that you can actually start to heal it. So the meditation that I'm going to offer today is for you to start noticing how you interact, how you give and receive. And you'll see there's a infinity-shaped loop in this meditation from the feminine or the masculine in your life. And that can look like how you give and receive to women, how you give and receive to men. Or this can also look like, so anyone who is non-binary, this is very, very valid for how you give and receive or interpret or move with or work with your internal masculine and feminine, whatever that means to you, because that can look and feel different to everyone. Everyone has a different interpretation of what masculine or feminine means, right? And so sometimes we can move into these places and start to really acknowledge that we have these parts of us inside. And one of the examples that I wanted to give you is that I was, I'm trying to remember now. Oh, yes. So I had for a long time had no idea that I had these internal battles with women. We always expect to have the issue with the opposite sex, but it's not always true. So due to childhood situations in my case, I had no idea what to do with women. I was so comfortable with men, like being the joker, burping out loud, whatever the case is, super comfortable with men my whole life. Women were complicated. I was like, I don't know what to do with this for my whole life. Until I joined a community of women where I did my tantric certification, my coaching certification, where we were 150 people online for a whole year working through our sexual practices and challenges and being open about them, very vulnerable shit. And the comparisonitis, and women can be really mean and competitive, right? I had to sit in the trigger essentially for a whole year and deal with that. Figure out, how do I move through this connection to women, this connection to my own feminine energy in a way as well, right? So through this meditation that I'm going to offer you, what I'm going to suggest is to just sit in those 3 steps. Be aware if you encounter a block, if you encounter a resistance, be aware of it. Don't judge it. Allow yourself to just sit in the fact that you have that block. And if you want, even lean into it and be like, interesting, right? One of the suggestions is like, just go into it. Be like, interesting that I have this block. What can I do with this? How interesting. A curious mind as opposed to a judgmental mind. Okay, and that will help you in the end embody and awaken your inner God, goddess, or deity in the bedroom much more deeply. Vale? So I'm going to invite you now to get comfortable because I'm going to give you the meditation. This is a very tantric type vibe to talk about masculine, feminine energy. So you can get into a seated position if that's what you would like. You can keep your eyes closed or your eyes open, whatever feels more comfortable for you in the moment. And again, if you start to encounter blocks, or if you can't feel it, if you're like, why, I don't know why I can't do this, just notice. Don't try and change it. Don't try and push it. Just be with it. So you can start by taking a few deep breaths to get comfortable in your body. Maybe move around a little to get yourself settled in. And feeling into sensation in your body. And we're going to begin with the feminine. So I'd like you to visualize or imagine. If you can't see as a visualization, that's okay. Just imagine someone or something in front of you that represents the feminine. This can be a goddess. It can be a color or a shape. It can be a symbol. It can be something from nature. For some of you, a representation of the feminine can be your mother or another family member. So just sit in this comfortable space and visualize or just imagine whatever representation of the feminine is sitting in front of you. And start to form a connection with this feminine. And you're going to essentially create this infinity loop between the two of you. Inhaling the feminine energy, exhaling into the feminine energy. So you are receiving from the feminine and you are giving to the feminine. And you are inhaling and receiving from the feminine and giving to the feminine. And just allow yourself to do that at your pace right now with me. Eyes open or closed, whatever's best or comfortable for you. And just let that process take place. Remember, you're just noticing, you're not trying to change anything. And now you're going to do the same process with the masculine. So you can just give thanks to the feminine to close that up. And now visualize a representation of the masculine in front of you. So that can be another form of nature, something rooted or like a mountain. It can also be a god. We're working with gods and goddesses this month, so why not? ¿Por qué no? It can be a symbol. Whatever represents the masculine for you, visualize or imagine them right across from you. The masculine. And begin the same breathing process of giving and receiving in the shape of an infinity loop, where you're inhaling the masculine, you're receiving the masculine, exhaling and giving to the masculine, inhaling from the masculine, exhaling, giving to the masculine in an infinity loop, and continue at your pace. And now one last piece. You can thank the masculine. And we're going to close up with all aspects of the universe. We're going to expand even further now. So allow all aspects of the universe to be represented, whatever that looks like, a galaxy, the planet, whatever that looks like in front of you. And you're going to do the same breathing. You're receiving from the universe, giving to the universe. Receiving by inhaling, giving through exhalation and an infinity loop, and continue this at your own pace. So you can close that now with gratitude to the whole universal structure, and just come back to you. Gather your energy for yourself. back to your wholeness, your body, your sensation, your heart. And just acknowledge what just took place. Was it easy with the feminine? Was it difficult? Was it easier to receive than give, or vice versa? What about with the masculine? What about with the universe? And just take in that information to say, oh wow, maybe I have some blocks in some of these areas with the masculine or the feminine in my life. And become aware of it and accept that it's a part of you and that it's completely okay. And then start to work with it when it starts to show up, when you start to notice like, oh wow, I'm having trouble experiencing my partner as a god right now. I'm having trouble experiencing my date woman as a goddess right now. And start to see, like, is there something internally that I can awaken to or just hold to be like, oh, this is interesting, that will help me open up to it. So one of the things that we do in coaching is you never push. These protective mechanisms, as I explained, were there originally for a purpose. So if you try and force them to move or to shift, they become even harder. They put up a fight. They're like, nope, no fucking way, I'm not moving. So just accepting that it exists allows them to slowly trust and be like, she's not trying to change things. She's not trying to move me around or make me be something else. So inspirational, that's great. I'm glad you're enjoying. Thank you for being here. So allowing it to be softens the edges, softens the reactions, softens the resistance, right, to these parts. And so there you go. This is your session. I hope it was informative. I'm glad it was inspirational to some of you. I loved that I saw at least 4 people come on live this week. Oh, yay. I'm so happy you guys are listening to my requests. Very exciting. And if you really do find that you have a block, that you've encountered some resistance, I'm available for coaching in my bio link at any point. And with this, we go deeper. I have somatic processes that help you go deep into these protective mechanisms in the body somatically to help start to release them, to give them even more love, even more support, even more depth and understanding, and letting it know that it belongs, even if it's there, which helps them dissolve and start to move from your empowered place, from your adult place, not from your inner child and tantruming teenager who's resisting. Cool? Cool. So I love doing these. I will see you next week. We're going to have an interview with a boudoir photographer, Katarina Gura, who is just lovely. I have been talking about her, so you can go check out her Instagram already to get prepared, because she's going to help us awaken even more deeply to this inner god, goddess, deity in the bedroom through the means of photography. And we're going to hear how that works. All right. I'm super excited. So I will see you all next week. Ciao.